Good evening. Welcome to this evening council meeting. It is Monday, September 11th, 2017. I'm Mayor Ted Schaefer, and with me this evening are my council colleagues. I have Councillor Jack Arnold, Councillor Paul Albrecht, Councillor Rudy Storteboom, Councillor Gail Martin, Councillor Val Vandenbroek, Councillor Nathan Pahal, and at the staff table we have Darren Light, Director of Corporate Services, and Kelly Kenny, our corporate officer. I added a D in there the other day, so it's Kelly Kenny. She's brand new to the hood, so. And Francis Chung, our CAO. On the other table we have Gerald Minchuk, Director of Development Services and Economic Development, Rick Baumhoff, Director of Engineering, Parks and Environment, Kim Hilton, Director of Recreation, Culture and Community Services, and our Fire Chief is in the back row watching us. So the first item today is Committee of the Whole. The Council will commence a Committee of the Whole, which provides us the opportunity to hear input from the public and allows us a greater opportunity to speak to and debate specific agenda items. I need a motion that Council commence Committee of the Whole. Councillors Albrecht and Arnold. All those in favor? It's unanimous, 4. So the first item we have is development permit number 07-17 at 20151 Fraser Highway, and Aaron Van Broek from Urban Design Group Architect, and you're at the mic. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is this working? Yep. So before you is a proposal for a commercial development, infill development at the existing Valley Center shopping mall. You may recognize the site. I think we were here a year ago going through a very similar process with a different idea for the building. Our client was able to attract more interest from some better tenants for the space. You know, to bring a national tenant like Scotiabank to downtown is something we've all wanted, and especially the owners of the Valley Center shopping mall, and I understand good support from city staff on this tenant as well. So this is a rendering of the project looking from Fraser Highway towards the building. The overall site plan. So the red area is obviously the area where we're proposing the 4,000 square feet building. There was a total of 13 parking stalls that were removed in order to accommodate this building. That small number was also a result of improving some of the existing parking areas within the existing parking lot to try to minimize that loss of parking. So with the new development, it's a 4,000 square feet to the existing. It brings the overall square footage of the shopping center upwards of 84,000 square feet. The required parking to meet the City of Langley bylaws is 257. There are 361 parking stalls proposed. There's 3 lots that comprise the shopping center lands. The parking stall count is spread across the 3. Lot 1, primarily where the proposed building is being located, there's 169. The balance, Lot 2, over by the Starbucks and the CRUs, 124. And the Lot 3 parking lot to the north is 68. The new development also added some additional requirements for handicap parking stalls. I think 13 are required and 13 have been provided. Additionally, for bike parking, I think 16 is required, and we've proposed 4 bike racks that can house 5 bikes each, total of 20. Building located front and center on Fraser Highway. Thank you to the Planning Commission and some comments received from Council We were able to make some improvements on our initial submission. This slideshow is a little more up to date than the package you guys all have in your possession. The building has been mirrored. So this is an enlarged plan of the development. I'll leave this for Gary to go through the traffic improvements and issues, and we'll get back to the building design in a minute.
So good afternoon, Your Worship, members of council. The design that you have in front of you does reflect a fair bit of thought and input, as Aaron mentioned, from staff and the and APC and the community as a whole. One of the things that we were trying to do is to make sure that the site is as accessible as possible for all users. And to that end, we've made we're recommending a number of changes to the site to help out with that. So from a pedestrian perspective, one of the key things that we're doing is that the current access along Fraser Highway at this location is very wide and not terribly pedestrian friendly. So it's going to be narrowed up so that the amount of time that pedestrians and the vehicles have to interact is reduced. In terms of the new building, it's having direct frontage onto Fraser Highway and direct access from the sidewalk. So as a pedestrian in the area walking through the downtown, you can directly get into the bank. You don't have to cross a parking lot, nothing. It's just easy in, easy out. In terms of dealing with price smart, one of the things that we heard early on, and even with the previous submission, was that there were concerns that traffic was going a little bit too quickly, so we're proposing to put in some raised crosswalks, as well as provide some better definition in terms of looking at the providing end island treatments and just more crosswalk locations to help out to provide some better clarity for both the pedestrians as well as the drivers. And then finally, one of the key things that we had also expressed a bit of concern, and that's more of an operational perspective, is for those of you who are familiar with the Starbucks, if you turn in to this driveway, you'll note that there's an opening right about here, which to allow direct access into the Starbucks and parking area. And what we're proposing to do is to close that off so that what you end up with is, instead of having a conflict point here with vehicles trying to get out and merging in with the vehicles that are trying to get out from the main parking lot, that now all of that activity is moved further away. So overall, it helps the operation of the parking lot. So one of the other things that we're going to be doing, in addition to the crosswalks, we're going to be putting in some internal stop bars, again, to better delineate who's got the right-of-way internal to the parking area. And then one of the other things that we're going to be doing is installing a raised median on Fraser Highway, so that we restrict the access that's on Fraser Highway to right in, right out only. Again, cleans things up, makes things a little safer. Given the proximity of that driveway to the signalized intersection and the left turn bay at 201 Street, there's a bit of confusion in terms of who should be where and when. This helps to clean it all up. We talked about the raised crosswalks. We're going to be building wide and accessible crosswalks. So again, it's just this isn't a development application in front of council that's only about the automobile. It's also where we're considering pedestrians, we're considering cyclists, and making sure that their needs are met as well. And back to Aaron.
Thank you. This slide just illustrates the pedestrian circulation around and through the site.
Use the mic. Use the mic.
This slide is illustrating the pedestrian movement in and around the site. You'll see that pedestrians access the building on all four sides. Some improved access points over on the 201A side.
Oh, that's right. This is my slide. Sorry.
Transit.
Sorry, my apologies. One of the other points that we wanted to draw to council's attention is in terms of the downtown location that has excellent access to transit amenities. So we're less than 150 meters from the bus stops, whether you're eastbound or westbound. And there are 11 different bus routes currently serving. And as Council's aware, part of the longer range plan is to extend rail rapid transit down the Fraser Highway corridor, and this site and this development is ideally positioned to take advantage of that. I think that's it for me. I'm not sure. Yes.
Just a slide of the building plans, floor plan and roof plan. The proposed exterior elevation treatments. The key elevation here being the south elevation, which fronts onto Fraser Highway. This glazing is actually clear, transparent glazing into working offices. The prominent elevation is the west, their primary entrance elevation, west elevation. This would be the north, facing back onto Save-On Foods. And this elevation would be the elevation facing Starbucks. There's a couple of renderings. Southeast view, Fraser Highway. Northwest view, Save-On Foods. Materials are of higher quality, architectural brick, curtain wall, glazing, the high quality metal panel, signature element for the tenant. Streetscape, the existing up top, showing the Starbucks, proposed at the bottom with the new elevation of Scotia, which frames the entrance quite nicely. I'll hand it over to Matt Gray from ETA to just quickly talk about the landscaping.
Hi, good evening. So the landscape that we've chosen focuses on native and native adaptive planting. We want to focus on species that are drought tolerant, specifically for the summer, with low water requirements. Generally speaking, when it goes in, it does require some watering, but once it's established, something that needs minimal to no water requirements even during the summer months. You can see the blow-ups.
The other one.
Sorry? The blow-ups of specific areas. In the top left, you notice the garbage enclosure, which we'd be screening with evergreen material, trying to minimize it from view. The individual planting islands, focusing primarily with low evergreen planting. Septed is a concern, so lower planting, especially at the ends of each drive aisle for visibility.
Thank you. Septed provisions, Greg Perkins, Leahona Security has been with us throughout the process on this site. The latest proposal here, which is the Scotiabank, basically produced no septet concerns. Glazing on all four sides, people occupying the building all day long, no little hidden alcoves, and you know, the high security operations of a bank will provide natural surveillance for the surrounding area. Sustainable strategies, there's a list, which pretty much best practice these days does tick off a lot of these lists. You know, energy efficiency, that's part of the building code now. We've got the bike facilities. We'll be encouraging low flow fixtures and you know, LED and all that with the tenant. As Matt mentioned, indigenous and drought tolerant planting. And of course, the local benefits of local enterprise and employment. Thank you.
Thank you. To the corporate officer now, are there any speakers on the list?
There
None?
do not appear to be any speakers on the list, Mr. Mayor.
And is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this? Seeing none. Council members? Councillor Martin?
Thank you. Fantastic project. It's about time we had another bank in the downtown core. But if I can suggest, maybe changing your slide from Price Mart to Save on Foods, which is what it is. It's not it's not Price Mart. In regards to parking lot 3, I guess the last time we discussed this was maybe when we were looking at the last proposal. So now this parking lot will be done in conjunction with this development? And is that staff parking for the Save On employees? I understand they own the property, I think.
Yeah, there's been some development on that site. I'll pass it to McGregor Work, a representative of the owner.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. So we, the back parking lot is actually owned by the owner of the entire center.
Okay.
And the plans are, there are no, for this DP, there's no plans for that parking lot, but what we've discussed through conversations with Gerald and staff was that in order to ensure that safety is improved there, what we're planning to do is proceed with a separate development permit to build something on that property.
Oh.
You can see highlighted in blue, there's an outline of a potential building shown.
Okay.
We discussed with staff on a number of occasions how we could deal with the security concerns there. We've been trying to have staff park back there, but due to issues with the location, people are very hesitant to do so. We've tried a number of different things to try and increase awareness there, and we've decided that one of the best things we can do is animate. And by animating, that would be to build some form of a building structure there that would bring people there during the day and throughout the evenings, that would give people a lot more security and safety walking to and from the parking lot. So from that, we've actually started the process. We've put up a for lease sign back there, and we're working with one of our leasing companies to determine whether we could find someone to position there. It's in the early stages now, but our goal is to secure a tenant and then go through the process that we've gone through here to go through and get a development permit and build a structure in that back parking lot.
Brew pub would be nice. Okay, there's that and that. Now, the lane between Starbucks and the bank, Gary said it was quite wide, and you're going to narrow it. Quite frankly, I think it's narrow now.
I think what he was referring to was the driveway taper,
There.
At the entrance.
just at the entrance.
The turn radius, not the lane. Not the lane itself, just the entrance.
Oh, just the entrance you're going to narrow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
It
fine.
helps slow cars down as they come in and out.
Yeah, okay, because it's not really wide now, but anyway, that's good. The other question I have is your waste management. You're going to have bins on the site?
Correct.
And where are they located?
They're located in a small enclosure over here.
Oh, it's going to be enclosed then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. The access, you said was off Fraser Highway. Did I see an access from the west too? Into
Just-
the bank?
Just the existing lane access.
No, I meant into the bank.
Oh,
Only on the west
no,
side.
the primary entrance is on the west, and there's an emergency exit out of the north.
So you're going to have two entrances off of Fraser Highway and on the west side of the building.
Just one entrance on the
Really?
west side of the building.
On where?
On the west side of the building.
Oh, I thought you said the access was off Fraser Highway. Huh?
Here's the floor plan here.
Yeah,
This
okay.
double door
Okay.
faces to the west parking
Yeah,
lot.
no, that makes sense.
This is the Fraser Highway frontages. It's all offices along here
Okay.
with their layout.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you very much.
Councillor Vanderbroek and then Councillor Arnold.
Okay, bear with me. I've got quite a few things on my list here. Can you go back to that one we were looking at with the parking lot, the lot 3, the proposed lot that we were just looking at? Yeah. There we go. So the lot 3, if you do put something in there, do you still have enough parking spots for, even with that newer development, you're still under? Okay,
Correct.
that was a concern of mine. I was going to propose a crosswalk coming through because I know people that do park there run across that street, and it's very dangerous at times. And I like to see that kind of crosswalk, I'm just saying, I like to see that is the potential there, because I do think there should be one there. I agree with that. Okay, so my next question, along Fraser Highway, the frontage there, is it just trees, or what are you putting in there? Because a lot of people cut across to go in there as a natural path from across the street. So are you putting a fence or shrubbery in there, or are you leaving it open?
The area is getting refurbished with new ground cover shrubs and some tree infill where spots dictate,
Yeah.
as well as the street trees along Fraser Highway are going to be replaced or maintained to current standards.
Yeah. Can I suggest you making a couple of natural pathways through there, through the shrubbery,
Yep.
to come in from the sidewalk? Because people cut across that.
Yeah,
That-
we debated this during the
Well,
APC.
yeah, they do.
We debated this at the APC. There's a bit of a liability and safety concern by doing that. You're dumping people out right onto an active drive aisle. So give them a false sense of security by providing a pathway.
But they're going to create their own natural path regardless. So just saying, people
trying
do
to
create
promote
their
them
own
to come
natural
over here.
paths. And then the entranceway from the corner, is that going to be an open gateway into the parking lot for pedestrians coming from 201A and Fraser, right on the corner there?
This,
Is that going to be open?
no. There's a pylon sign in there right now and landscaping.
Okay. Because with SEPTED, one of the things we are taught is to create natural pathways to make it easy flow for people to come in and out. And to me, that is one of your major points that people are coming through. They're walking across from Paddington Station across the street and coming through that corner. So whether you do it or not, you're going to get people cutting through there because they're coming from the residential area into that way. So just a suggestion. The other concern I have is when you come through on Fraser and come up the laneway, when you head towards the liquor store there, that whole intersection is already diagonal and crazy. Is that going to be fixed? Like, can that be put into a four-way stop? The way it is now, it's cut off, and then you kind of have to go a little bit up and then over to go left. And people are always honking at each other, and pedestrians are crossing over there, and it's quite a mess right now, quite honestly. Like, I hate going through there because you're always looking at different cars turning from the liquor store. So is that going to be matched up to be almost like a four-way stop?
Yeah, I'm aware. I think Gary's, the traffic engineer, had internal traffic control with stop bars and just a little more structure in that area.
So it is going to be formed up? I want to make sure, because that area is really bad already.
Councillor Vandenbroek, through the chair, the intent as well, I mean, you raise a good point about that there's a lack of clarity within in the parking lot in terms of who has priority. So one of the things that the applicant is committed to is providing some additional clarity by putting in stop bars and stop signs at the appropriate location. It is still intention to keep the drive aisle that's immediately adjacent to the principal building, that will continue to move well, but all of the drive aisles that connect into it will be stop controlled, so it will make it much clearer to all of the people who are using it. I recognize that the alignment doesn't work exactly right, But by putting in those stop bars, it helps to clarify who has the priority.
Now, how is the turning radius going to be with that? Because I know it's already bad. Like, big trucks can't get through there with another car coming right now. That's one of my concerns.
Councillor Van Broek, through the chair, we haven't done any analysis of the swept path of delivery vehicles. That was not part of the mandate to date. The proposed building under the development permit that council's considering tonight doesn't have a need for that. The only swept path that we concerned ourselves with was to ensure that a garbage truck with forks could actually access the new waste area. That's the only thing that we can find our analysis to.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have two more questions, actually. You said everything's going to be mashed up. My concerns is for the gardener. Could we make sure that all the shrubbery is low lining? There's nothing worse than going to a parking lot and you come to a stop sign and the other people have the right of way and you can't see what's coming. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. So
Councillor Van Broek, through the chair, it is our stated intent to have low-lying shrubbery. I mean, obviously part of that has to deal with maintenance, but we're not targeting plant species that are expected to be very bushy and 15 feet tall.
Awesome. Good to hear. Okay, and the other one was, if you go back to the picture of just the Scotia Bank, please. See those shrubs out front? That's not 2x2 or 4x4 where those people are standing beside. So I'm hoping that's not what it's going to become. That's a great picture to show how it shouldn't be. The bottom ones are good. The ones that are along the side of the Scotia Bank there that those people are standing beside goes against that TED principle of 4x4 or 2x2. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Architectural license.
Thank you.
I've got, let's see, Councillor Arnold and then Councillor Pahal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Vandenbroek was talking about people coming in at the corner and cutting across. People do that anyway. When they come across at 201A and Fraser Highway, they cut right into the corner of the parking lot, and that's the path that they have. And I can't see that changing. The pedestrians do it. I think they just have to watch out for the cars, I guess. Now, is there going to be a drive-through?
Councillor Arnold, through the chair, no drive-through.
No drive-through, okay. And the other thing that one of you mentioned was right in and right out, and where is that going to be?
Councillor Arnold, through the chair, the right in, right out is at this location here on Fraser Highway.
Well, it's already right out.
Well, it is technically right out due to signage.
It's technically right out. That's where the sign is that says you can't turn left.
Correct.
I know because I have the ticket to prove it.
There you go. But by putting in a physical measure that will now reinforce that sign.
You enforce that sign. The RCMP enforce that sign.
They will, but the sign will be relocated into the concrete median that will be installed as part of this development application.
Okay, so it will now be, because I don't know whether it's supposed to be right in and right out. People turn left to go in.
Correct.
But you're not supposed to turn left to come out.
The interesting provision of the Motor Vehicle Act, sorry, Councillor Arnold through the chair, an interesting provision of the Motor Vehicle Act is you are allowed to cross a double yellow solid provided that you do not impede traffic behind you. So unless it's signed specifically, which to the best of my knowledge it is not signed specifically for the left, it is for the right but not for the left off of Fraser Highway. So
if you're coming out of that driveway, you cannot turn left. There's a sign there that says no turning left.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be reinforced by having a raised concrete median, which will force the right in and the right out and preclude the left out and the left in.
Okay. I know a lot of people turn left in.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, but after me.
Councillor Pahal.
I'm going to reinforce you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and just wanted to commend the change with the glazing on Fraser Highway. That'll add such a big difference to our street wall. It'll give eyes and ears to Fraser Highway both ways, which is fantastic, and I think really start to solidify that as a western gateway to our community. So that's a great design change. The entrance is close enough to Fraser Highway from the sidewalk that you'll see that. And if you look at all of the three corners, you'll see from, if you're walking, I think it's just an outstanding design there. So thank you for doing that. Just to kind of second what a lot of other folks on council were saying, and I understand liability. Starbucks by the drive-through, there's some little brick stepping stones that you place there, even though it goes right into the drive-through. I walk there every day. That's the primary way I get there, so I'm well aware of that whole site. Again, keep in the back of your mind, because that cutting through is certainly something that I do as well. The sidewalk and the raised crosswalk as you come into the Save-On, that's fantastic, because I know as someone who walks there, that's a conflict point as well. So I think you've done a fantastic job on resolving a lot of the pedestrian conflicts in that site. So thank you for doing that, and for including the bike parking right next to the Scotiabank. So I really look forward to seeing this proposal move forward as swiftly as possible. And that's all I got.
I've got Councillor Storeboom and then Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, gentlemen. I have the privilege of speaking later, so all of the things I might have wanted to say have been said. But I did want to congratulate you. A lot of hard work's gone into this. I remember when you came to us a year ago, and I mused out loud that it would be great if it could be a financial institution, and I'm thrilled to actually see that take place. I want to compliment you and Mr. Vlieg and APC and staff for all of the hard work that went into this. This is a welcome addition to our community, and I really appreciate this. I'll be looking forward to doing business there myself. Just one thing, if you wouldn't mind, please consider refreshing the landscaping around the Starbucks store too. I know that those folks would really appreciate that. Thank you again very much, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to reiterate what has been said already about the corner of 201A and Fraser Highway. It's kind of cut off on my notes here, but you've got a little sort of a triangle at the corner there. What is that? Right there, Gary, yeah.
Sign.
It's a landscaped area with the pylon sign. The pylon sign?
Yeah.
Save on Foods.
I mean, I have to agree with sort of what's been said. Anybody that's coming from the south up 201A, or, you know, west from the west of Fraser Highway, or, you know, crossing this, going down and using the crosswalk there, it would make perfect sense to have that as an entrance into the mall, because they're probably not going to want to walk down to the main entrance, the main car entrance, and they're not likely to walk past the Scotiabank and into that entrance either. So it does make perfect sense. And, you know, there are a lot of seniors that sort of live on 201A and even in that first block. And I know anytime, it's 3 blocks from my place, anytime I've gone up there, and, you know, that's exactly what I do. I walk across the parking lot and go out there and cross the crosswalk there. So, and I think what's been said, that people will probably make their own little trail there. So why not do it now? And I don't know that that's kind of a liability issue for you. I can't really see it being a liability. I can see it if they're jaywalking and you make a path, but it's going to be right in line with the crosswalk, a lighted crosswalk there.
Councillor Martin, and I guess the rest of council through the chair, while you do raise a good point, as Councillor Pahal mentioned earlier, there's always this issue that sort of we have to keep in the back of our mind, which is called liability. And if we create a walkway at that location, even right around the pylon sign, There's no internal walkway to connect them to it further. So if we were just to eliminate some of the landscaping at that location and put in some hard surface to give a visual cue to pedestrians, and a pedestrian was to step out there and be struck, then unfortunately, as we currently understand it, the property owner would be liable. So while we take your comments and don't necessarily disagree with your comments, we've worked really hard to try to create as many pedestrian pathways through the site and good access to the site as possible, recognizing that this is a retrofit. And yes, if we had a blank slate and we're doing it all over again, perhaps we would do it a little bit differently. But we're trying to work with what we've got and to try to meet the requirements of the city in terms of the parking bylaw, and trying to meet the requirements in terms of just making sure that there's sufficient access that's safe for everyone.
Thank you. And with respect, I mean, people are doing it now, so it's always, I guess, been a liability issue, and they will continue to do so, except now they'll have to go through your shrubbery and probably ruin that. But if that's okay, if that's the way you want it to be. Thank you.
Okay. Anything out of the audience? Nothing there. We're going to be dealing with this. If you'd like to hang around, I'm going to reserve my comments, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So even though this is very positive, if you guys hang around, we'll deal with it. So I need the motion that Committee of the Whole rise and report. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Pahal, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Adoption of the agenda, that the September 11th, 2017 agenda be adopted. Councillor Martin, Councillor Arnold, all those in favor? It's unanimous. The minutes of the regular meeting from July 24th, Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Albrecht. All those in favor? It's unanimous 4. Let's see here. The special meeting from August the 10th, that the minutes of the special meeting held on August 10th. Councillor Martin, Councillor Albrecht, all those in favor? Against? Unanimous. Now, lo and behold, guess what we've got? Business arising from Committee of the Whole. It is development permit number 07-17 20151 Fraser Highway. That development permit application DP 07-17 to accommodate the addition of a 4,000 square foot Scotiabank commercial building to an existing shopping center at 20151 Fraser Highway be approved, subject to the execution of a development servicing agreement and compliance with the conditions outlined in the Director of Development Services and Economic Development Report. I need a mover. Councillor Vandenbroek and Councillor Albrecht. I haven't called for the vote yet. Okay, just want to let you know. Okay, Councillor Albrecht.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to report that as part of the APC committee and chairing this particular meeting, we were in full support of this proposed development. It is a development permit which is focusing on form and character in a limited area. We're not reinventing the entire shopping plaza. We're making a best of an existing situation. And it is unfortunate that a lot of the shopping malls were not developed to be what we would call pedestrian friendly. So we have some challenges, and I think this group has worked really hard in trying to accommodate some of the more pedestrian friendly concepts, providing bicycle parking, providing a better delineation of traffic flow, building new islands, the raised crosswalks. They meet all the parking requirements. I think we'll have a very, very much improved traffic flow within the site itself. And best of all, and my own personal thing, is that we do not have a drive-through situation here, which I think we have more than enough in our community. So I just wanted to reinforce that the APC was in full support of this permit. Thank you.
Councillor Pahal?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To staff, do you know if the sidewalk will be updated as part of this? The city sidewalk will be triggered? I know there was a mentioning of the street trees being replaced. I'm wondering if the new city design standard will be applied there as well. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vanderbroek?
I have a question for staff as well. The laneway that goes out towards Gabby's, is that going to be retrofitted to be an actual road to get in and out? That area itself, flowing out of that parking lot, is chaos at best of times. So I'm wondering if there's any plans or the developer to fix that. Like there's big potholes and then people got to go up and around. And it's a major road getting in and out of that complex.
Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Vanderbroek, perhaps the applicant can comment whether or not, as part of the parking lot reconfiguration, that additional consideration can be given to the eastern portion of the lot that the concern was raised.
For clarity, I'm not certain where exactly it is you're referring to. I know that there's actually multiple properties that enter onto that laneway, and we actually don't.
From the sushi place down towards Gabby's.
Right.
Along that laneway.
We actually, the property line stops halfway down the property there, and we actually don't own a great deal of that laneway.
Okay. Okay. That is, the Director of Engineering just pointed out, that is city laneway. It's not a private piece of property. So we would have to give that consideration.
Councillor Vanderbroek, through the mayor, that's something that staff will review. If there's some safety issue, pothole issues, we'll ensure that that gets repaired. And to the longer term, we'll see how we can make some safety improvements to the lanes. We'll bring it back to council.
Councillor Storteboom?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I will be supporting the resolution, of course. I trust we all will. It's very exciting. Without sounding too anxious, I could not but be curious what kind of a time frame would we be looking at before completion? Any indication if it's going to be starting anytime soon?
We expect as soon as we can apply, so long as things get approved, we would apply immediately for a building permit. Upon issuance of a building permit, we would get going for construction right away, and we're being told by our general contractors that it's going to be approximately 6-month build time. And then at that point, it'd be handed over to the bank to do their fixturing, which I assume will probably be about a 60-day time period prior to opening.
That gives me a really good idea. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see that Scotiabank is locating in the city of Langley. And it's not their first branch, but their second branch. So they will have 2 branches here, and recognizing that the city of Langley is the place to be. So kudos on the bank for coming into the city. We as a council and the staff have tried very, very hard to get the banking community to take more interest. And I'm sure Councillor Pahal will be opening up an account there very soon, because he has been very active with transportation, etc. So he has said he walks by that area every day, so I expect him to use the bank machine there. So I just like to say thank you. We kid around a little bit on issues like that, having a bank machine, but for the community itself and the residents that live in that area, we really think it's a great job, and we wish you all the success, and the sooner the better, so Nathan can do his banking. So thank you. I'll now call the question. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimous 4.
Thank you.
So thank you. Yeah, build away. So under the mayor's report, next regular council meeting is September 18th, 2017. Regular council meeting after that is October 2nd. Metro Vancouver update, Councillor Storteboom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Metro Vancouver Board of Directors did not meet during the month of August. However, I can report that Metro Vancouver intends to hold a series of public consultations this fall about proposed development cost charges and program rate changes. This initiative is aimed at expanding our liquid waste infrastructure in order to serve the growing population. The proposed changes focus on the principle that growth pays for growth. The existing DCC rates were established almost 20 years ago, and significant changes to cost and growth conditions mean they are not really sufficient to sustain funding requirements for ongoing growth, particularly in the south of Fraser sewerage area. A public meeting is being planned for Thursday, September the 21st at the Sheraton Guildford. Also, the Metro Vancouver Board has approved a new carbon price policy that aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions associated with its own projects and initiatives. The new policy requires that the value of greenhouse gas emissions are included when evaluating new Metro Vancouver funded project options by incorporating an internal carbon price on decision-making processes for typical projects such as construction or vehicle purchases, as well as for carbon reduction programs. Our next regularly scheduled Metro Vancouver Board meeting is planned for the end of this month. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Storteboom. Councillor Martin.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just bring to Council's attention the DCC review that is going on for the sewerage areas. I can't even remember how I came across this. It might have been through a board and brief, or I don't know what it was. But having looked at it, I was actually shocked at the increase to the Fraser sewage area. Ours, for a single-family home, is going from $1,731 to $5,428. That's a $3,697 increase per single-family dwelling. Townhouse is going from $1,500 to $4,695, which is a $3,180 increase. Apartments from $1,082 to $3,530, $2,448 increase. And the non-residential right now is 0.811 square foot, and it's going up to $267 a square foot, which is $1.85 per square foot increase. Now, I did have a brief conversation with Mr. Chung on this a few weeks ago, and my suggestion was that we get in touch with other communities, and his comment was that the CAOs basically agreed to this. And although, you know, we had a report about the consultation, our council's aware of it, and I'm not worried about the Vancouver, the Lulu Island, and the North Shore. It's the Fraser sewage area. Our council's aware of what kind of an increase that we're looking at here. You know, in the North Shore, the Lionsgate treatment plant is being replaced at a cost of $700 million, or we're paying for that. And I understand, plus it was $15 million to buy the property, and I understand that it's based on growth, but the other increases, you know, for instance, Vancouver, their increase is $867. Lulu Island is $1,140, and the North Shore is $1,009, and that's on the single family, where ours is $36.97. So, although the board may have approved this, and there is going to be a consultation, it sounds to me like it's already a done deal, so I don't know why they're having a consultation, but I'm just wondering if the councils in the Fraser sewage area are aware of what kind of an increase that we're facing, and should we be doing something about it. I know that it hasn't been raised for 20 years, but with that kind of an increase, and you know, they're talking about affordable housing all the time. This just puts the cost of the housing up. So I would like to suggest that we contact the other communities in the Fraser sewage area, and I would imagine that would be Delta, White Rock, I don't know if Burnaby's part of it, Surrey, Langley Township, Langley City, and just point out what kind of an increase that we're looking at, and whether it'll do us any good to attend the consultation meeting or not on the 21st, I have no idea, but I think this is a horrendous increase for the Fraser sewage area, and I know we all have to pay for the growth, but at least they could do it incrementally instead of a big hit at one time. So I'm going to make the motion, Mr. Mayor, that we contact the other municipalities in the Fraser sewage area and list out in dollars what the increase is for each of the categories of housing that is listed here.
May I second that motion?
So, any further discussion on that? Councillor Vanderbroek?
I just want to thank Councillor Martin for bringing this to our attention. I agree. I think it should be increments. That $3,000, that's a huge increase. So I agree we should be writing a letter and contacting the other municipalities that are affected by this as well. But yeah, thanks, Gail.
Welcome.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor of sending the letter? Against? It's unanimous for. Mr. Chung will be handling that. Okie dokie. Now we have Mr. Baumhoff, who's going to give us a update on engineering, parks, and environment.
Okay, thank you very much. So updates for the month of September. The Douglas Park fitness equipment was completed, and actually it's more August and September because we haven't reported for a month. And the Portage Park picnic shelter has been completed. We've also completed filling in and rehabilitating the ponds at Innes Plaza. So the fountain is still functioning. The ponds have been removed and replaced with garden beds and flower beds. We've also added and partnered with Sticky's Candy for a sidewalk patio parklet on Fraser Highway. There's room for about 4 tables. And the Baldy Creek construction has been or is nearing completion, replacing wood stave culvert under the BC Hydro duct bank, and with 2 corrugated steel culverts, and improving the creek capacity and fish passage. The creek restoration and planting will be done in the fall of 2017. Apparently they found quite a number of fish in that creek, so it's quite an active creek. The water main replacement on 200th Street between Nickel Bridge to 50th Avenue has been completed. There's still 1 tie-in near the bridge that needs to be done. There's a bit of a complication there, but it's very near completion. Also, the bridge, 200th Street Bridge rehabilitation work is well underway. They're very near completing the first half of the bridge. So here's a picture just showing the bridge rebar being installed before placing the new concrete slab. And this is a shot just showing the slab being poured. So they'll be completing this half of the bridge by either the end of this week or early next week, and moving to the second half. Also the 2017 road rehabilitation program, so that'll be done this month and October. Be Newlands Drive between 209th Street and 210th Street, and 210th Street north of Newlands Drive. And also the lane south of Fraser Highway west of 201A Street will be completed. And then a number of patching locations, 206th Street from Fraser Highway to 56th Avenue, Eastleigh Crescent just east of Glover Road, 51B Avenue from 207th Street to 208th Street, the westbound lanes, and the intersection of Grade Crescent at 201 Street and 200th Street, various patching from 44th Avenue to Grade Crescent. This is just a shot showing the Newlands Drive, the road reconstruction and paving. That'll be done this week between Tuesday and Friday. Other current construction projects include the Spray Park expansion at City Park. That work, as you're aware, there was a problem in the pipe network that caused an issue at the Spray Park, and we have currently 11 of the 15 spray features are working, 4 are not. But as soon as the weather changes and we get into a bit of a rainy period, then we'll begin work and expanding the new City Park Spray Park. And the Hunter Park redevelopment is underway. Majority of the on-site work is completed. There's some perimeter fencing and no posts that still need to be completed. That'll be done over the next few weeks. Also, 56th Avenue, Glover Road to Langley Bypass is also currently under construction and planned to go until the end of October. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Pahal, then Councillor Martin.
Yeah, thank you for the update again. 56th Avenue is looking really great. It's great to be able to actually have usable sidewalks on both sides, and it's a marked difference from what it was in the past. And you can actually walk without running into a utility pole or a street light. So that's really good. And I think even the changes to the entry by the Value Village, it was narrowed with the curb extensions, has really made it easier to cross there too. So looking good.
Good.
Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick. The parklet, so happy to see one in the city. Now, there's 4 tables there. Does somebody bring them in every night?
Yes, that's our agreement with Sticky's Candy. They supplied the tables and chairs.
Oh, great.
And we did the greenery and the planters around the area just to kind of make it a little more safe and secure area right beside the road. And so they bring in the tables and chairs every night and put them back in the morning.
But they are for use by anybody?
For use by anybody, yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. It's great.
Councillor Albrecht.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Baumhoff, I just wanted to express my gratitude to yourself and all the staff in getting all these projects done or on their way to being done. It's a big improvement to the community, and I just wanted to make sure that we recognize all the hard work that people have put in over the summer. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say on behalf of council, thank you to the park staff out there. The new parkour park over the summer was very, very actively used. This council is very much engaged with the community and looking at parks, and that was a perfect example. I know when we took a look at some of the parks out there was an excitement about the new zip line at Linwood, and when we went down at Bryden and took a look at some of the parks down there, the marked improvement in the system, and the staff for taking care of it. So thank you to yourself for bringing some of these projects forward. I know staff sometimes do not get the recognition they deserve, and to those that brought the parkour or the zip line or the other units to the park. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having the vision for adding to the park facilities in the city.
Well, we're getting so many positive comments. I know I spoke with Councillor Martin about Linwood and the kids that are using it, and the grandmas and the grandpas that happen to be there at the same time are very much appreciative. One of the comments that we got was that it gives kids more equipment to play on instead of just a swing or a teeter-totter. So they have a variety of things, and when they have a variety of things, they stay a little bit longer, and they get to use the park. So thank you for bringing stuff forward. Looking forward to the year.
Thank you.
Next item we have is recreation update. Ms. Hilton, who is the Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Services.
Good evening, Your Worship, and members of Council and our viewing audience at home and in the Council chambers. Update for recreation for September. Wanted to point out that the last in the series of the summer McBurney Plaza summer series is happening this Saturday from 12 to 3 McBurney Plaza. And the theme of this last event is called Create It in the Plaza. So if you like to do DIY kind of projects, this event is for you. Following that, on Sunday, we have the Terry Fox Run out of Douglas Park, which is located at 20550 Douglas Crescent, if you don't know, and that begins at 8:30 and completes around 1 p.m. One of the last in the series of the Canada 150 events that the city has hosted this year is called Canada in Our Backyard, and this is running on September the 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's really giving people an opportunity to explore the different provinces and territories of Canada as they walk through the Nickel-Mackle floodplain and experience some of the best that each of the provinces has to offer in terms of music or food, sport, and other activities. So if you're interested, you can phone the Timms Community Centre for more information at 604-514-2940. Our fall registration programs are now open for registering, or our fall programs, sorry, are open for registration. And we have a great variety of programs available, and you can find these programs online through our website with an online recreation guide, or you can pop down and pick up a recreation guide at one of our facilities. Wanted to point out that we do have our youth drop-in basketball program, and that is running on Tuesdays from 5 to 7 at Timms Community Centre. And this program is free for youth that have a games room or track card, and they're aged between 12 and 17. And I have to tell you, the youth basketball and even the adult basketball is one of the most popular events that we run, or activities that we run at Timms Community Centre. And on Fridays, we have the youth drop-in volleyball, and again, that's for ages 12 to 17, and it's running from 5 to 7 every Friday night, and again, just with the use of your games room or track card. And would be amiss if we didn't promote our youth night, which runs Saturday nights here at Timms Community Centre, and we have multiple youth staff on board, and they have great activities and games and music planned for each evening, and that runs from 7 to 10, and that's when the games room is youth-only time, so we don't have younger children or older adults in the games room, and the gymnasium is also open to the youth to participate in different activities. Again, all you need to do is have your games room or track card available. Some of the new programs that are starting, one was this evening, or this afternoon from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. is called Chair Yoga, and it's for adults. And there is still room, so if you're interested, you can still register. It is 7 classes, so 6 moving forward. Your registration would be prorated. If you're interested in participating in this particular program, you can phone 604-514-2940 to register. Another program that starts tomorrow, and just around the noon lunch hour from 12:30 to 1:45, is the restorative yoga, and again, this is for adults. It's 8 classes, and it looks like it's $64 or $84. I can't quite see. Anyway, you can register at Timms Community Centre at 604-514-2940. Feel the Rhythm Fitness. This is another class that runs on Thursdays from 1:15 to 2:15, and it's at Timms Community Centre. Again, another great class to try out, and I think some of our staff do like to participate in some of the fitness classes they're running, so this is a little bit different than some of the ones you've been participating in so far, so great opportunity at your lunch hour to drop in and try out this program. And finally, we're offering an intro to our indoor cycling 101, and the next class is Saturday, September the 30th from 11 a.m. till noon at the Timms Community Center. Cycling is becoming very popular in the facility, and it's great to have that intro class before you get committed to the daily activities of the spin room. And that is my update for September.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Martin.
I don't really have a question, but I think all the programs, the free programs that were put on this summer for families and for kids is absolutely wonderful. And I'm sure all of council feels really proud to be part of this city, because there are so many things that are positive coming out of the city. And yeah, we all know about the negative comments that we get, but there is a lot of positive things, and not only through our parks, but through our recreation department. And it's great to know that families can take their kids somewhere and not have to worry about having to pay $20 or $30 or $40 to do an activity. So kudos to you and all your staff, and of course, as the mayor said, to the park staff for what we've done in our parks this year. It's really wonderful, and I, for one, and I think I'll speak for everybody here, we're really proud of our staff and what they've done in the way of recreation and parks this year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It couldn't be done without your support, so
well,
thank you.
I know you had said that some of the staff partake in the activities, and as I come up at different times, I see staff partaking in there, and it's great to see our staff take advantage of the programs that your department has to offer. And you know, this facility that you have and you manage is well used, and there's a lot of people. And right now there are people in the, I believe it's Vernon at the seniors games. Yeah. And they're tickle pink, taking their ping pong paddles up there, or table tennis paddles up there with them, and this was their home turf, and they're going up to partake. And I just spoke with some of them the other day, and they're very pleased with the facility and the way it's run, and to the staff. So again, as my colleague said, it ain't a perfect world, but we're trying. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have, and I'm going to turn this part over to Councillor Pahal, because this is his committee, and I'll let you read out the motions, and then you can even start the discussion.
Sure, and I will give some context to these as well. So there's two blocks of recommendations, Recommendation A and Recommendation B. Just to lightly go through Recommendation A, I should point out that the idea for these with the local media program is there's already a couple committee members who have something ready to go. It's just that they would like to be able to involve the city to make it more of an official thing. So it is not meant to be a onerous task on staff. The same goes with the social media campaign, which is item 2. It's to be able to tie in messaging into the social media that we're already doing with the city. Item 3, again, these are programs that already exist, and it's just to make sure that the committees and how we work with the chamber, the downtown, some of the work that Mr. Minchuk has done around SEPTED policies is just out here in the open. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel with this. And the final thing is, again, just working with the local supplier thing. There's already some people on the committee that are ready and willing to volunteer. Recommendation block B, just for some context, having a discussion with Councillor Vandenbroek, as she's previously worked in the CPO office. There may be bookmarks available, and so I'd ask that we, when I read it out, just refer that back to the committee so we can do a bit more research and determine what's actually the best course for really outreaching. And we wanted to focus on seniors and those folks who didn't really use the internet as much. So I'll just read out the committee recommendation A, that council directs staff to work with local media, participate in and follow the steps to set up an actual Block Watch program. 2, that council directs staff to create a major social media campaign to promote Block Watch, Business Watch, and SEPTED review programs. 3, that council direct staff to work with the RCMP, Chamber of Commerce, and Downtown Langley Business Association to promote Block Watch, Business Watch, and SEPTED review programs. 4, that council direct staff to identify a local supplier who may be able to partner with the city on motion sensor lights that may be supplied to businesses and residents at discounted prices. So I don't know if I have to ask.
So moved by Councillor Pahal,
Yeah.
seconded by Councillor Martin. Discussion. Further discussion. Councillor Stortaboom.
Well, thank you. I'm familiar with the Block Watch program, and I'm under the impression that there are some areas where the Block Watch program is still in the works. Sandy Dunkley, in particular, identifies the success that that has had in her neighborhood, and I'm happy to see the Block Watch program resurface, and I trust that it will be re-embraced and that it will prove to be a tremendous resource for our community. So I support this. Thank you.
Councillor Vanderbroek.
Did you want to go first?
Go ahead.
No, I do support this. I do believe, though, we should be contacting the detachment and the township and discussing, as the township employees run the programs, such as what you're talking about, as well as Block Watch has always been around. It never went anywhere. Crime Watch has always been there. They're always looking for volunteers. That is an integral part of what community policing does, and I think we should be reconnecting with those program leaders. My question to staff is, previously as an employee for the City of Langley, I initiated City Watch and trained staff in how to report crime and Crime Watch, basically with the union and the city staff, and I'm wondering where that stands currently.
Councilor Vanderbroek, through the mayor, that Crime Watch program with our QP staff and IFF is still ongoing. They have the manual and the procedures for reporting crimes, so it's an ongoing thing. So they know, they're aware of what needs to be done.
Thanks, Francis. Is there any way that we can maybe bring this to light again and maybe tie this in with what Councillor Pahal is trying to bring forward, and maybe have another training session or some sort of staff mail, like email or updated?
Through the chair, I can certainly talk to the president of both unions, and maybe we initiate or have a refresh of the program, and just to re-educate some of the newer staff.
Great. Thank you.
To my council colleague, and this came through the Crime Prevention Task Group. I know at times city council members, city staff take some flack out there for some crime that may be happening, and some of the crime is tied to other issues out there. And this council is spending close to $12 million with RCMP policing. And at times, the RCMP are handcuffed by the Constitution and by rulings that come down through the court system. But my kudos to this Crime Prevention Task Group for looking at some of the smaller stuff that is actually bigger stuff in the community when it starts affecting the people. And it's a step in the right direction. We are moving forward as a council and a task group, and everyone on this council supports the crime task group, crime prevention task group, and it's just one step in helping this community on. So, Councillor Pahal, do you have anything else to say before I call question? No, it's your committee.
Nope.
Nope.
There's another block that I'll talk about after.
Okay. All those in favor? Against? Unanimous 4. Councillor Pahal.
So the final recommendation from the committee is that the task group requests that council approve funds from the RCMP detachment operating account to maximum of $1,200 for the purpose of purchasing 5,000 fridge magnets to promote reporting of suspicious activities to the RCMP non-emergency number. And I'd like to make the motion that we refer this back to the committee for further investigation.
seconded by Councillor Albrecht. All those in favor? It's unanimous 4. Well, thank you. Next item we have are a couple of bylaws. Bylaw 3026, amendment to the Officer Establishment Bylaw. First, second, and third reading of the bylaw cited as the Officer Establishment Bylaw 2011, number 2855, amendment number 3, 2017, number 3026. A mover and a seconder, Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Albrecht. All in favor? Against? Unanimous 4. Next one is Bylaw 3028, amendment to the Fire Protection and Safety Bylaw. First, second, and third reading of the bylaw cited as the Fire Protection and Safety Bylaw. 2009, number 2784, amendment number 2, Bylaw 2017, number 3028. And a mover and a seconder, Councillor Arnold, Councillor Storteboom. Arnold, Storteboom. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimously 4. Next item we have is a flag policy amendment. This came about because council colleague, a lady that I didn't serve with but was on city council, passed away, and we just wanted to make sure that the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. So this is a flag policy amendment, and Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Arnold. And it shall read that City Council adopt the revised flag raising policy number C0-33. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimous 4. Community amenity contributions. Let the City of Langley increase the amount of community amenity contributions from $1,000 per multiple family residential unit to $2,000 per multiple family residential unit be approved. Councillor Martin, and I'm quite pleased with it. Councillor Albrecht. And I'd just like to say something before we start off. I'd just like to applaud all of the city staff. Councillor Martin and Councillor Arnold and I were on council when some of this came into fruition, and it was staff, city staff, that have been working very hard on this project over the years and bringing this motion forward for a refresh. This council is truly focused on making changes to recreation and amenities. And these contributions assist in taking the City of Langley in a forward direction. And as in this report here, the times are changing. Families are moving in, and there are amenities that are required. So that's kind of my 2 bits worth, and I'd just like to hand it over to Councillor Martin.
Thank you very much. And I agree with everything you said there. And I guess, you know, the community amenity contributions, when we brought this in, the reason was to do amenities in our community that our citizens were going to enjoy and going to benefit by. And, you know, this year alone, we, out of the community amenity charge, or the fund, the Bryden Park playground at $12,875. The adult fitness amenities, and I'm assuming that's in City Park, $12,100. The community garden at Linwood Park, $30,000. The park benches and bleachers, $20,000. The Nicholas Spray Park, $15,000, for a total of $89,975. And that's work that wasn't in the budget, wouldn't have been able to be done, but we had this community amenity charge, and we can honestly say, and it was said when Mr. Baumhoff and Ms. Hilton were doing the reports, it has proven to be very popular this year within our parks. So I think that, you know, only increasing it is only going to allow us to do more for our citizens. And I know there's more to come. I think probably we'll be looking at other things in the next little while. And it's, to me, it's certainly a wonderful way to give back to our community without charging taxes, and that's the main thing, because we can do that, and they're getting the enjoyment out of this. So you're right. I mean, kudos to the staff for bringing this forward several years ago, and all the communities, I believe, a lot of the communities have the amenity fund, and ours is still one of the lowest at $2,000 a door. So we're doing good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Vandenbroek.
I'd just like to say it's fantastic, and I think it's really valuable that we invest in things for the children in our community, because, you know, we are dealing with a lot of drug issues and mental health issues and that sort of thing. And it really is true that we need to get youth when they are younger and give them creative outlets and give them something to do that's positive in their lives. And I really do think that improving our parks and our recreation facilities and such, we can really help the youth of future generations really get a good handle on life at the beginning, and I really do think it's necessary. So I thank the rest of council for supporting that, and staff as well.
I'd just like to add that if you haven't been at Bryden Park, there's a swing down there that's a parent-taught swing. I've never seen anything like it at any of our other parks. I know one of our council colleagues was arm-twisting council to put this into the park, and actually had the opportunity to use it with one of my grandkids this summer. And it's things like that that when you get to a certain age in your life and you're dealing with your kids and then your grandkids, and the fun and the enjoyment that you have, and then you can hand your kids back to the parents.
Right.
So
that's
it's not.
I know, I'm an aunt.
Yeah. So, Auntie, here you go. But you know, it's great on staff for bringing these initiatives forward, and I'll call the question. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimous. 4. And any new business, old business? Motion to adjourn. Councillor Arnold, Councillor Stortaboom. All those in favor? It's unanimous. 4.
I need to talk to you.
Huh?
The green? They'll just on the